joining us from? Okay, so I'll just go over to the chat to see. Oh, yes, Queen is joining us from Port Harcourt. We have Ayodeji from Lekki. We have Esther from Lagos. We have someone from Elizabeth from Ilorin. We have Ronke from Lagos. We have Mrs. Ziggy from Ogun. We have someone from Benekebi. Wow, thank you for joining. We have Oluchi from Lagos. We have Nancy from Aba. Hey, we have Onyeka Chukwu joining us all the way from Enugu. We have Folashade, she's joining from Abuja. We have Jennifer joining from Abuja. Queen is joining from Port Harcourt. We have Edebo joining us from, where again? From Kogi. Wow, thank you all so much. We have Felicia, she's joining from Ogun State. Ibironke from Lagos. Oh my God, we have everyone here tonight. Thank you. Already we are 168 in the house. Please, the link is in the chat. Just keep sharing, and resharing until we get a fuller house, because everyone, you know, that is in the teen coaching business or niche needs to hear the information that our facilitator, PF himself, is going to be sharing with us. We have Olukemi from Kaduna. We have Eve Zeno from Lagos, and Yebet from Akwa Ibom. We have, okay, so many people. Celia from Lagos, Time from Lokoja, Okota, Ogbomosho, oh my goodness, Osun State, hey, Delta. Okay, we have Joss, we have Rachel from Ogun, Funke from Akure, oh my goodness, thank you all so much. We have someone from Sapele, Angela, hey. All righty, yeah, Adewale from Lagos, Elizabeth from Lagos. We have Christy from Ogun. We are now at 182. Please keep resharing. Go ahead, just pick the link from the chat and share. Trust me, by sharing this link alone, you're going to bring a turnaround to someone's life. I mean, you might not understand the impact of what sharing this link is going to do for someone. Yeah. I'm very sure of what I'm saying right now. So please share the link. Just know that you are empowering someone. We have Laura all the way from Kaduna. We have Olaiton from Ibadan. We have Grace from Bayelsa. We have Anita from Abuja, Taiwo from Lagos. Oh, thank you so much. Peju from Oshogbo. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Rotimi from Niger. Oh, wow. Ugoma from Lagos. Thank you. Grace from Calabar. Thank you. Keep introducing or keep telling us where you're joining us from. Let us know where you're connecting from. Inena from Lagos, Precious from Enugu. Beautiful. Please, the link is in the chat. Just pick it up and share. We all need this information, because you can attest to the fact that we need teen coaches, you know, qualified teen coaches to get out there, because the things that we're grappling with today cannot just be managed by people who are not sure of what they're doing. So please share the link as much as you can. We have someone from Redemption City, Abby. Thank you. Glad to be here. We're so happy to have you here as well. We have Bolanle all the way from California. Thank you so much. We have Sheung from Ogun State. We have Grandma Fakem. Oh, we have a grandma in the house. Welcome, Grandma, all the way from Abeokuta. Welcome. And we have Gloria from Kano. Oh my God. We have, in fact, talk about all the locations already. I think we have a good mix of people from all the states in Nigeria, and you know, we're even global. Thank you. From Kaduna, thank you. There's no sound. Please, if you can't hear me, let me know. If you cannot hear me, please let me know in the chat. Afolabi from Lagos. Rebecca from Kaduna. Okay, Fumilola says she can hear me. Okay, I'm so sorry. It might just be your network. Maybe you can go off and come back in. Thank you so much, Oluchi from Lagos. Thank you, Mrs. Williams from Benway. Oh, thank you all so much. Thank you for telling us where you're joining us from. Thank you for taking time out to be here. So, yeah, from Ibadan, thank you. Okay, so while we continue with with telling us where you're joining us from, I just want us to, have this stimulating already in the chat room, okay? So I want you to tell me or tell us in the chat, what are your fondest memories as a teen coach? So I believe we already have teen coaches here. What has been your favorite moments, your most favorite moments working with teenagers? Please share with us in the comments or in the chat. What has been your favorite moment as you work with teenagers so far? What has it been for you? Not so audible. Okay, I'll try to be as audible as I can. Ineka from Mushin. Okay, all right. Some people, if you can't hear me clearly, just try to go off and come back in. Try to go off and come back in. Okay, so please share. Please share with us. What is your most favorite moment as a teen coach? Being enthusiastic to learn. Okay, so Grandma Faye says being enthusiastic to learn. Yes, teens are really curious people, like that phase of life where they are at, they want to learn everything, they want to know everything. And so I agree with you, Grandma. I agree with you. Unassuming question moments. Oh my God, unassuming. I can relate to that. Where they just catch you off guard and you're wondering, okay, so what's going on? All right. Another person says, always ready to hear stories. Oh yes, always ready to hear stories. Their openness when they trust me. So good, so good. Seeing my teens have a change in behavior and attitude prior to my encounter with them. Amazing. Well done. Thank you for your responses. Please keep it coming. My most favorite moment is when my teen parents walk up to me and ask, "You're the mom, Adeji. We appreciate what you're doing for my teen." Oh, I can imagine. That can be so surreal. Yes, thank you for that. Okay, so let's see. One of my proudest moments as a teen coach is when a teen trusted me enough to tell me he likes a girl. Oh, I can imagine. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so I was going to read someone's comment. It was, okay, challenging my authority. Okay, challenging your authority. Yeah, that's a norm. My favorite memory is talking about their sexual being. They listen more and open up. Oh yeah. Wow, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. My favorite moment is their vulnerability without being afraid. Yeah, this is the big one. Thank you for sharing. Had a eat out with my mentees, all girls, and one was feeling very nervous, so much so that she could tell what she wanted. Later, when I asked her why, she said no one ever showed her so much love without asking anything in return. Oh my goodness. I can imagine these teenagers need so much love. I mean, love that is unconditional, where they don't need to do anything to experience that love. Thank you so much. Always open when they see you as a good source of information. Okay, for Benny, she says when they feel and act really smart. Okay, awesome, amazing. Keep it coming. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. Trust me, you're going to have an amazing time with us this evening. Thank you. Okay. So the session is going to begin anytime soon. Okay, so what I mean is I'm going to be bringing on PF, Mr. Praise for who is one of the finest family life practitioners that you can actually ever encounter. I mean, done an amazing job here in Nigeria, Africa, and is solidly leaving his prints, indelibly globally. We are so pumped up and ready for Mr. Praise for this evening. Okay, so someone says they're full of energy. Okay, let me take the last two. One of my best moments is when, okay, so I lost that. Okay, is when I see them live out what I have taught them. Beautiful. My favorite moment was when one of my teenagers graduated as the best WAEC student in Lagos State. Awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing with us. We are 266 in the room. Please, before I bring on Mr. Praise, kindly share the link, share the link again. We had so many people register for this session, and we want as much people in this room. And we're also on YouTube, so if you're finding it difficult to hear me clearly, or if you're having any challenge connecting, or if the YouTube link is going to be faster for you to share, please just share, whichever one, Zoom link or YouTube link, just share as we begin the session. Okay, so I'm going to bring up, the YouTube link is in the chat already. So please empower somebody. We need so many qualified hands in the team coaching business. And that is why we are here today. There's a method to this thing. And who better than PF to demystify this thing and give us the breakdown. So fasten your seatbelts. One of your teams won Mandela Fellow, even as an undergraduate student. Beautiful. Congratulations, Favor. So right now, I'm going to bring up PF, Mr. Praise Forward. I guess you know him, and he's going to be taking us through the journey of mastering the teen coaching game. So please join me with a warm, okay, so we cannot give him a round of applause, but please, let us fire up the chat session. The chat section, fire up the chat section, blow it up. If you know PF, if you know the kind of value he brings, please let us roll our applause in the chat. Oh yes, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. Yes. Woo, trumpet for PF. Well done. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. PF, you are welcome, sir. Thank you so much for taking time out to do this with us once again tonight. It's always a delight to drink from your well of knowledge. Thank you so much. And I will hand over the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach Sandra. Thanks for what you do. Coach Sandra is one of the best parenting coaches around. I know that she does a lot for well. Thanks for all you do, and it's so lovely to see your beautiful face.
Thank you,
I spoke to your husband earlier today. I'm sure that you guys are well and doing good. Okay, good to see you. Okay, so let me welcome everyone to this meeting. It's such an awesome privilege. I never take for granted every time I am invited to come and share with you, right? Because all we can do is to empower ourselves. All we can do is to support ourselves. Africa is already, having a deficit when it comes to skilled manpower, when it has to do with family life, parenting and coaching and all. And that's why all hands has got to be on deck, to ensure that we get the right people and we equip people with the right tools and with the right skills. Now, I'm hoping that I can do this within the next 50 minutes, thereabout, or 1 hour, thereabout, then we will continue sometimes in September in class, right? Because, and I'll tell you why this is very important. There is a major need across the globe right now for team coaches. Now, many people don't know this. I remember I was still in Nigeria when a lot of parents, especially when Nigerians started moving abroad, a lot of parents started talking to me about coaching their teenagers, and they were willing to pay anything. Now, why would they want to pay anything? They wanted to pay anything because the matter has got into a state where the teenager, in quotes, is already on drugs, right? And so when you have a child who is, from my practice, parents are willing to pay anything when the child is either on drugs or the child is tending towards maybe is saying that it's no longer his gender, he wanted a gender change and things like that. I've seen parents who say that Praise will fly you to the UK, just help us recover our daughter, right? And so they say a whole lot of things to me, especially when it comes to the teenagers. And I always wonder that these teenagers we were not born as teenagers, right? Because what you see in the teenage years is a function of what you have done in the toddling years, right? I was listening to, a very respected preacher in America on Instagram, and he said, there are 4 stages in parenting, and he said you must never be your child's friend until age 19 or something. And I shook my head and I said to the person beside me, I said, by the time you are waiting to be their friend at 19, you've already lost them. Because no teenager is going to be your friend at 19 if you are not their friend all through their years and all, right? And so today, I am going to be sharing with you, what I think will help you on mastering the team coaching game. I'll share a global perspective and then what is going on and what we all need to master. Okay. So thank you very much for joining. As I've been rightly mentioned, my name is Praise Fuwowe. That's my name. And in the last 20 years of my life, I have worked in the family life space in Africa and across about 4 other continents of the world. Presently, I am in Prosper, Texas, and that's where I am making this presentation from. Right. And so I will say to you that at the end of this class, you would have discovered the opportunity that exists in the team coaching space. You would have been able to unravel the critical challenges, areas teenagers are struggling to navigate and why they're struggling to navigate it. There are about 10 irrefutable laws of raising a teenager. I would have touched on about 5 of them. Then you would have been exposed to a bit of the best template to accelerate your success rate, across the globe, because the world is not a global village. You can no longer hide and say you just only want to work with teenagers in the Amoye, somewhere in the Okogi state or something like that. Because when clients come to you, you have to be ready. And so in the absence of several academies, we don't have too many academies in Africa that take certification programs. We are one of the few, right, that take certification programs when it comes to family life and when it comes to team coaching, right? We believe that we need to equip as many people as possible so that you can be competent. So I'm going to ask of you, in case you are watching the Premiership or you're watching a movie, I think Jagun Jagun is what is trending in Nigeria, whatever movie you're watching, please, can you put it on the pause right now and find a quiet spot, because I don't want you to miss out on any part of this session, right? And also, please, if you can help me change your name on your Zoom to your full name, including any title you would like me to address you with. Maybe you're a doctor or something, or you're a chief, a village chief, or you're a Igwe or Amadio. Just put your title in there so that in case I call you, you don't feel offended, right? Now, my life as a family life strategist started about 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, I was taking a walk around a place called Bale Street. If you're from Ajegunle, can you give me a hi on the chat box? If you have ever lived in Ajegunle, you can give me a hi on the chat box. Let me see my people. So I was taking a walk. I just returned from, I had, what was I saying? I had, left paid employment, yes. And when you're on paid employment, somebody's watching from Ajegule. When you're on paid employment, you leave house early in the morning and you get them late at night. So you never get to see a whole lot of things. So for the first time, I'd left paid employment and I was taking a walk around Ajegule, and I found, young people prostituting about ages 13, 14, 15. I think the oldest was about 17. In a place called Niger Hotel, right? And so when I saw that, I was a bit worried to say, you know what? Why is this like this? I got home, I was ranting, complaining. Government is bad. Why are they not doing what they're supposed to do? Why are these teenagers here? Of course, I could put their age within that range. Now, as I knelt down to pray that day, I felt the Holy Spirit say to me, and if you know me very well, I don't talk like this, right? And so I felt the Holy Spirit say to me, but you can do something. I said, how can I do something? I don't even have money. And he said to me that, remember that when you were a bad boy, you could meet a girl for the first time and ask her out that same day. And if you wanted to have sex with her, you will do that, right? It said, so you have the capacity to convince people to do things that they don't want to do. I said, really? Okay, so I said, I'll go. So next day, I was disguised as a customer and I went to that brothel, Niger Hotel, right? And I got to the place and I asked the girl how much was it to sleep with them. And they told me, I think it was about 50 naira or 200 naira or something, right? That was when I realized that each of those girls had to sleep with 11 men every day to break even, right? And so I paid for a time, I paid for about 1 hour of a time with the little I had, and I sat with her to have a conversation. We talked and talked and talked. Her name was Glory, and I wanted to find out what was Glory doing in that place, all right? And I said, you are Glory of God. What are you doing in here? Then she said to me that someone brought her to Lagos and her uncle was trying to sleep with her. She ran away from home. And so she found herself that Glory was 16 years old, right? So I sat with her. I was not trained. I didn't have any knowledge. All I had was love in my heart. And that's why if you are here, if all you have in your heart is love to even make a change, that's a good win, right? And so I started talking to her. And I asked if, and she told me after 1 hour that she had to go work. So I asked her if I could come in the morning, because in morning time, customers don't usually come. So by morning, the following day, I cooked my breakfast, took it to them. She brought some of her friends. They were also about her age mates. There was a 14-year-old there, 15-year-old, and there was about, I think, a 19-year-old. Now, interesting thing is their parents didn't even bother looking for them. Right. Of course, I later found out that the parents were in the village somewhere. So I, sat with them, took my breakfast, we ate together, and I started talking to them. Guess what? I talked them out of prostitution and took them back home. So after about 1 week, about 8 to 9 girls had left that brothel and had taken them back home. I didn't have money to rehabilitate, so I was just taking them back home. Now, somehow, I became a threat to the owner of Niger Hotel, and I remember that the man sent one message to me that they were going to kill me, and they had a meeting, and all the brothels in Nigeria, they said nobody must allow me into any brothel. When your name began to ring in hotels that you knew nothing about, right? And that was my story. So I found another spot when they chased me out of that place. This one was Good Evening Street. Good Evening Street is a place, is an entire street where the only thing that took place there was prostitution. Now, Good Evening Street had the Niger Delta zone, had the Igbo zone, had the Hausa zone, and had the Yoruba zone. They don't mix. So depending on the tribe you wanted to sleep with, you knew where to go, right? So I went in there and I started my work again. But this time around, those ones had a whole lot more to do. So I started a fellowship in there. So I became their pastor, literally, and they will come for meetings. I will do a meeting early before they start their work, and they will have funny prayer meetings. And these were teenagers and young adults, right? They will pray, Pastor, my prayer today is that I need 11 men. Yesterday, I have a deficit. I need 11 men. I need to fuck 11 men today. God answered my prayer. I wouldn't condemn them. But guess what? The following day, they will come and say, oh, God answered their prayers. So I will sit them down and say, God doesn't answer those kind of prayers, right? Your faith or your belief was what connected. It used to be very fun, but I needed to put them in a place. So that was how I found the late Bimbo to She had a facility and I started taking them there, right? But I learned a lot, understudying those people and good administration. I learned patience. There was one of the ladies, whom I was working on for 1.5 years and she never changed. One day, I gave up on her and I said, this one can never change because she will leave and come back again, leave and come back again. So I just told myself, Praise, you must never follow up this girl anymore. She's never going to change because it looked like she loved what she was doing. So I left the brothel, went back home. I didn't go there for 2 months. 2 months after, I went back there and I went to look where I passed her room and I asked one of the other girls where she was. And she said, no, she had left. She had quit the prostitution. I said, what day did she leave? The same day I gave up on her was the same day she finally left. And that experience taught me never to give up on anyone. So if you're doing this work, you need to understand that there are clients you work with, it looks like they're not changing. Sometimes it's not yet the time, right? There is a stage called threshold. That when a client gets to the state of threshold, you will do minimal work. I'm sure you've had clients who come to you and almost like everything was magical, they change, right? And you will be bragging and thinking that you were the one who made it happen. No, it's a multitude of several sessions they've been through, but you were just the one that activated the process. But some other people, you work with them, did everything, and it looked like you failed. No, you did not fail. Your job is to pour plants and follow waters. God gives the increase at the right time, right? Of course, now I know better because there are now skills that you can use to work with teenagers. But you see, the fundamentals way back was, as I took these girls out of Brutal, more girls went to replace them. So I had to create an intervention in Ajibunle called Uncommon Man Network, or what is called Gold in the Slum, to prevent them from going and to prevent boys from going to sleep with them. So it was a Sunday evening meeting. And if you live in Ajegule before, you know that the most difficult period to gather young people is Sunday afternoon, because that's when they club. But I fixed my meeting for that same time, and the meeting started to grew to like 480 every Sunday evening. And that was how we took a lot of them out of prostitution. And some of them are married today. We had one of them who is a PhD holder. We have some of them who are master's degree holders. You know, I see them. In fact, when one of them was getting married, the lady said to me, said, Praise, I want to use your car and I want you to ride with me to church because you totally transformed my life. So everything I'm going to share with you are not things that are cast in, what's it called now? They're not theories. They are things that I have lived with, I've lived in. And that's why these days when people talk about LGBT and all this funny other stuff, I am never moved, because I know that within us, if you have love in your heart and if your hand is skilled enough, you have what it takes to transform every behavior. Oftentimes, you have people who are skilled, but they don't have love in their heart. Or you have people who have love in their heart, but they are not skilled. If the axe is blunt, much strength is required. But skill is what brings success. So it's not just enough for you to be zealous, because you can be zealously wrong and end up messing up people. I know someone who was telling me yesterday that she went to, someone who is a professional, and by the time he left the person, he started feeling suicidal, right? So he didn't have suicide ideation before he walked with that lady. But the moment it was done, suicide ideation started. So they gave him something else, right? And so you need to know that if you are highly skilled, you stand a good chance of changing lives, but also earning well for what you do. Now, so just follow me carefully. Now, so I'm going to start by asking you a question. Okay, so I want you to raise your hand and say to yourself, everything I'm going to say today is going to be the truth, nothing but the truth. Because some of you are likely going to lie. Now, so the first question is, who were you as a teenager, right? If you remember your teenage years and you have to summarize your teenage years, who were you as a teenager? Okay, so I'll go first, right? And so someone says the moralist. So I was, as a teenager, I was a sex addict. So let me be very honest, right? Okay, so that was who I was as a teenager before age 18. Yes, right? So let me see other people. I was a secretive girl who loved, I was clueless, I was a baddie, I was shy and reserved. Okay, let me see. Where are the other people? Let's be very honest here. We're professionals. Church boy. Oh, good. I was quiet, morally upright, reserved, timid, vulnerable to the wrong people, had to rape. Oh, wow. So sorry to hear that. I was daddy's girl, stubborn, persistent, secretive girl, pretender. Okay. I was hijacked in time as a church girl. I was a church oversight, big girl. Okay. Addicted, virgin till 20. Oh, wow. Good. I was really introverted, lost as a teenager without direction, secretive, confused. Oh, wow. Oblivious. Just a schoolgirl, was already getting sexually addicted. I was foolish and so timid, having sexual intercourse with classmates. I was a church girl, but addicted to masturbation, introvert. Oh, wow, you guys are the bomb. I feel like giving all of you free pass to our certification program already, because these are the kind of people we need. If you can't be honest, you can't work with teenagers. Many of us present a picture of perfection and you expect teenagers to talk to you. They don't talk to people who are perfect. They talk to people who look like they have a bit of things they're also struggling with. Okay. Someone says, I was born again, lost it to rejection. I was still finding my way, morally upright, optimistic about the future, gentle and shy. So addicted to smoking and drinking alcohol. Yes, I smoke too, right? Ron's girl with a church girl outlook. Thank you very much. I love that. Ron's girl with a church girl outlook. Come on. Okay. If you can't be honest, you can, okay, yeah. So I mean, I was an altar server in church, brilliant focus, but didn't have a relationship with God. Timid and reserved, dealing with masturbation. Thank you guys. This is our home. I feel at home already with you guys because these are my people. Okay, so already with what you have done, you already answered questions 1 and 2, right? But okay, no, let me reframe question 2. What were the things that happened in your teenage years, maybe not directly to you, that happened maybe to your friend? What were some of the wild things, crazy things that your friends did that if their parents knew today, they will almost cut off their head, or they will not believe that their children in their teenage years did those things? Okay, so can you go ahead, and share what were those things? Your friend took in and aborted. Wow, abortions. I know some hospitals in Nigeria that 98% of their income was from abortion. I know girls who go to abort and they can't pay and they sleep with the doctor in exchange for the abortion. I know nurses who set up clinics, right? And so, okay, so what were those things? Abortion, sleeping with married men. So you can see so you can see all of these things. Now, please keep them coming. Right. Wow. Gazing. My friend aborted, did an abortion after having a first child, abortion, sneaking out of boarding house to parties, bunkmate got pregnant. Can you imagine? Secondary schools, aborted 3 times as a teenager. Can you imagine? These things happen. Parents were not aware. Now, if all these things happen, somebody say, "Oh, plenty." If all these things happen in an age, in an era where there was no internet, where there were no mobile phones, what do you think are the things happening right now? And that is why I often say to my people, right? Okay, somebody say, I had a friend who traveled to Cameroon for sex. Can you imagine? As teenagers, travel to Cameroon for sex. Wow. Now, you see, the thing is this: if all these things happen in that age and time, why do we feel surprised or at what teenagers are doing right now? Because it's actually worse right now. Because we did all these things and your friends did all these things when there was no means of watching pornography outside of magazines called Dowda the Sexy Guy, Better Lover, Mills and Bones, Ames and Art. You have to be able to read, right? To do some of these things. But in our age and time where those things are accessible at a click, right? What do you think will be happening in the life of these teenagers? That's why I am shocked that we are shocked at the things we discover about the teenagers. In fact, your surprise is a surprise to me, that you are surprised that teenagers are dealing with some of the things. And that's why sometimes I wonder if the religious houses are very real with themselves, because we begin to preach at these teenagers, talk down on them. You will go to where we even threaten them. You will go to where you will go to, okay, our generation that didn't have any of these luxuries that they have, look at what we are writing. That should tell us that this thing is a human problem, and it's a human problem from generation to generation, right? And last question, how well were you handled as a teenager? Can you answer that question? How well were you handled as a teenager? Do you think you were well handled? Were you honest, maybe with your religious leaders or with the leaders in your life? Were you very honest? Could you share your truth with them without any fear of retribution? Okay, neglected, poorly handled, couldn't speak to anyone. I was rebellious, badly handled, poorly handled. Okay, poorly handled. My mom beat me. You even talk to a guy, you already been beaten. You have not even done anything. They're already projecting what they think will happen. My parents were clueless. I was a pastor's kid. My dad was clueless of who I was outside the gates of my house, right? Poorly handled, misjudged, and misunderstood. Okay, so many of us in this meeting already, it shows that we are dealing with some form of trauma that you get pregnant, you will kill you. Some of you got pregnant, your parents shipped you to village, and they started telling every other person that you traveled, you went to school. Meanwhile, you went to give birth to a child that then adopted, who now became like the last born. And even the child today still calls you auntie, still calls you, never calls you mom, because you can't even tell the child the truth, right? So I'm still dealing with the trauma because I was terribly handled by my parents. May God forgive our parents. They didn't know better. If they knew better, they would have acted better, right? And so you realize that many of us were not handled properly by the people who were custodians of our reality. Now, in our age and time, right, there are more and more issues plaguing our teenagers that a lot of people are not aware of. So UNICEF said that these are the top issues that teenagers are faced with globally. Eating disorder, which is causing obesity in some countries, is a pandemic in America right now. Substance abuse, that is a major issue in Nigeria. If you know in fact, if I put Lagos map together, I can tell you the kind of drug being taken in different areas of Lagos. I can tell you the issues prevalent in certain areas in Lagos, right? I can tell you where they do spirit testing. I can tell you the areas where they do swinger sexing. I can tell you the areas where they do bestial sexing, where rich people in some areas of Lagos sit down to watch young girls come to have sex with their dogs. And they take pictures, images, and they pay those girls like $1 million, right? So if you have a girl who is like 18, been already earning $1 million for sleeping with a dog, right? Where are you even going to start from? That girl is already deviant. So when you look at her and you are judging her, you don't even know what you're talking about. Some girls have flown from Lagos to some place. I mean, someone was telling me the other day that they found a place where teenagers, early teenagers, 13, 14, 15, in one of the northern states, where some of the top people come, and these people, if you mention their name, you wouldn't believe they come to have sex with those girls in there, right? Their parents are not aware and they pay them heavily, right? So substance abuse, depression, mental health disorder, substance use disorder, mental health, anxiety disorder, school bullying, peer pressure, violence, anorexia, school refusal. I don't know if you have observed that a lot of teenagers right now, when you talk about education, right? So sorry, Joma, for your loss. I mean, I'm glad that God has helped you to pull through. You know, when you talk about, you know, if you look around, you will just see all sorts of things happening. A lot of young people don't want to go to school. When you talk about, oh, you're going to do masters, going to do PhD, they don't care. What they want is, I want to blow, right? Because the culture they live in is not a culture that rewards education. They are probably looking at your life and they are wondering, oh, your education, what has it produced? They are looking at you and say, you are not a governor. You are not a senator. You are not anything. Your voice does not count. So where is this education taking you to? But they are seeing people who can't even speak proper English, becoming governors, people like becoming leaders in Nigeria, and they are looking at you and they're saying it is the end that justifies the means. So there is nothing you are saying to them as parents that is entering their ear. There is nothing you are saying as a religious leader that is entering their ear, because they are even asking questions. To say, you say God answers prayers. Okay, somebody had cancer, you all pray, but the person still died. So how does God answer prayer? They have more questions in their heart than us. We had those questions, but we couldn't answer. We couldn't ask our parents. Now they are asking. There is gender dysphoria. A lot of teenagers don't feel cool in their assigned gender, no thanks to several things they are reading online. You have conduct disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, which is increasingly becoming a major issue out here, right? Thank you very much. Inchoma, you say they say school is a scam, education is scam. That's what they say, right? And so you have bipolar disorder, behavioral disorder, oppositional deviant disorder. So if you're a parent and you see your children, they are deviant. Everything you say they should not do are the things they want to do. That is it. Oppositional deviant disorder. They manifest, especially in the Generation Z, they call them Sorosoke, but that will pass as an oppositional deviant disorder, the mood disorder, menstrual problem, sexual abuse, behavioral problems in adolescence. You know, what we used to call sexual abuse, they have now modernized it. So there is a concept of bestie, or friends with benefits, right? My bestie, but the only issue is that bestie is not just a best friend, bestie is also a sex partner, right? And so you have all kinds of issues happening in the life of these young people. And the more you discover, the more it looks like they come up with bigger ones. The teenagers are the world's most endangered group at the moment, as of 2022. Around 40% of the population of the world was aged 15 years and younger, compared to global average of 25%. So what does that mean? It means that 40% of the world's population are 15 years and younger. So it means they fall within the toddling years and the teenage years. Now, you know what that means. And the sad thing right now is that I don't know if you have watched some of the videos on, I don't know if you have seen some of the videos on the Reels on Facebook, the Reels on Instagram, and you will see teenagers, young girls, shaking their breasts, shaking their butts. You begin to wonder, where are their parents? And so when you look at some of them and you think this child is a young girl, no, she's young in age, but when it comes to sexual experience and exposure, she's a veteran, right? I met an 18-year-old girl who told me she was going to commit suicide when I met her, right? She's finished, graduated from school right now, she's working. I literally sent her back to school. And she told me that she wanted to join Nollywood. So at then, 18, she said she has slept with 49 movie directors and none of them still gave her a movie, right? 49 movie directors at the age of 18, slept with them, right? And so you begin to ask yourself, exactly where is that girl going to start from? If you're coaching that girl and you're working with that kind of girl, she's looking at you, even though you are older in age, she's looking at you and she's thinking, I've slept with men bigger than your husband. What are you talking about? If you have a teenager who is sleeping with a governor, how are you going to even engage her? She has more money. She has a whole lot of influence. She will tell you, I can call the governor right in front of you. Where are you going to start from? So without the right guidance, these young people have the capacity to self-implode and set the world ablaze. It's a crisis situation, and it's made worse because now they can make their money, just by going on Reels, just by shaking their breasts, by shaking their waist, they can make money, right? By shooting videos. That they can make money by becoming deviant on Twitter. Twitter is making a good payout right now. They can actually do a full-time job without school, earning as YouTubers, right? And so I know a school where a girl was saying to me that the students, everyone in a class performs blowjob on the other person, right? And so when they're in class and the teachers are not there, right, that someone stands at the corridor waiting, watching whether the teacher is coming. And when that person is standing, every other person is performing oral sex right there in class. Now, if a teacher is coming, she gives them a signal and the teacher is asked, is there no CCTV around the corridors and stuff like that? He said, no, we have people in our class who can manipulate it. And this is a major school in Lagos State, right? So I asked, how come none of you has told your parents? And she said to me, none of us wants to be a snitch, right? And so it is a crisis situation we are dealing with at the moment. Now, I'll tell you the 5 core global teen challenges that require coaching. Then I'll go ahead and share with you 5 of the 10 irrefutable laws of raising a teenager. Then I'll tell you maybe 5 more things, then I'll be done with you here. Now, there are 5 core global coaching challenges that require teen coaching. Number 1 is digital pressure and social anxiety. This is the number 1 challenge that requires your coaching. So you can actually specialize right now and say that you are not just a teen coach, you are a teen coach with a leaning towards digital pressure and social media anxiety. It's a major issue. A lot of parents are looking for how to get their children to drop their phones. They are looking for children are addicted, teenagers are addicted to phones, that they don't even have time for school. I say to parents, if you are raising a teenager and you don't ask them to drop their phones at the end of, you don't ask them to drop their phones before they sleep, you can bet that they are not sleeping. Right? They are coming. So you drop your gadget before you go to your room, because with gadgets in the room, you can bet that these ones are not sleeping. And once they start not to sleep, it can create another problem in their lives. Now, the challenge with this, right, is that with the rise of social media platform, teenagers feel the constant need to present a curated, perfect version of their lives. So a lot of teenagers are dealing with low self-acceptance. They are dealing with low self-esteem. They deal with issues like cyberbullying. Some of them are being groomed online. Fear of missing out. They call it FOMO. And the pressure of maintaining an ideal image online. So you want to appear spotless. So the ones who are a bit on the big side, they want to be, slim, because they believe that slim ladies have bigger sex appeal, right? So they are keeping up with the Joneses. Why is this a problem? It's because unlike the previous generation, teenagers today grow up in a world dominated by digital platforms. Every moment can be captured. So you're talking to them, they're with their phones, and you are even on your phones, you are multitasking, you are in 10 groups at the same time. One group is doing prayer meeting, one group is showing a joke, one group is doing Bible study, you are in all those groups and they see you. So if you check the screen time, versus the human interaction time in your family, you would already see that there is a big problem. So every moment is captured, including things that should not be shared. I mean, there are some teenagers who are doing internship at Wall Street, and they're saying for the first time, you don't share when trading is going on. You don't share pictures. You can't find those pictures online. But now those pictures are making their way online because they are taking selfie on Wall Street as people are trading. They are taking, and there are vital information that shouldn't make it online. How well can teenagers concentrate? So when you see people talk about ADHD, some of them is induced by restlessness occasioned by the use of of tech tools. And there are so many new tech tools coming in almost every time that you've lost touch. So many social media platforms like Likey. I mean, I couldn't join Likey, but Likey is dominated by teenagers basically, right? And if you see what they share in there, you wouldn't believe that these are secondary school or high school children. So they can't concentrate. So this particular area is a major area that needs a lot of teen coaches to specialize and help. Number 2 area is the identity and self-expression. Now, that's a major problem. We say that every time you see a challenge, in every problem in the lives of teenagers can be traced to 2 things: a non-discovery of self or a non-remembrance of self. If a teenager does not know who they are, they will misbehave. If they forget who they are, they're going to misbehave. So teens grapple with understanding who they are, what they believe in, and how they fit into the world. They are confused about their sexual orientation, gender identity, personal beliefs, no thanks to the power of media. So media in some countries is challenging who they are, telling them you can be anything, telling them that your sexuality is different from your gender, right? And so gender should not be assigned at birth. So allow the children discover who they want to be, right? So you meet someone in America and they tell you that our pronoun is they, right? And you are wondering, if you are a Yoruba boy like me, there's an adage that says a person cannot say we have come, right? And so when a human being says I am they, you are wondering, where are we going to start from? But you see, the challenge is adolescence is a natural time for self-exploration. These teenagers are trying to explore. They are trying to discover themselves. So without the right blend of coaches, especially with the vastness of internet, teens are exposed to a broader range of ideas and identities, which can both be empowering at the same time confusing. So they go online. There is a research online that says, you need to ejaculate 21 times in a month to avoid prostate cancer. Teenagers are reading that. And so teenagers are given that as an excuse to get into masturbation and get into pornography and say, I don't want to have prostate cancer in my old age. So the researcher said, meanwhile, that research is a horse. There is no basis for that conclusion. But some media influencers in Nigeria have also posted that online. And you wonder what exactly is going on. So identity. And majority of teenagers, almost all the problems you highlighted that happened to you in your teenage years were basically down to lack of identity because you wanted to feel among. A guy came to you as a lady. The guy said, wow, you are the only sugar in my tea nowadays. You are the only mosquito that bites me, the only cockroach in my cupboard. And that began to swell your head. Question: if your parents had properly told you who you were, and they have raised you to master your identity, do you think you will be moved by any of those things that those guys were saying? The answer is no. But your parents never told you how lovely, how beautiful you were. They never told you that you were the most beautiful girl in the world. So when a guy who doesn't even know who he is, who is just dealing with wandering hormones, come with all those sweet talking stuff, you wanted to date him. I mean, it's even amazing that ladies had crush on guys who couldn't even afford anything, right? And because this guy was playing soccer, or because the guy was just popular on camp or in the school, every lady wanted to date the guy, and they were throwing themselves at the guy. It's just very incredible, what people did way back. So identity and self-expression, it's at the root of many teens' issues that needs your intervention and needs your specialization. Okay, someone told me I look only in my 100 level. Okay, number 3, mental health stigma is the number 3 global challenge that teenagers are facing. Now, this helps you know the areas to specialize and what to work on. Now, the challenge here is, while awareness about mental health issues have grown, many teenagers still find it hard to express their struggles or seek help due to fears of judgment or misunderstanding. Their increase in drug use in Africa has also changed this dynamic. They said that mental health, depression will be the #1 killer in the world, maybe by 2030 thereabouts. I can't get the years correctly, right? And so what is happening is, a lot of teenagers, there is an imbalance in their emotion, there is a vacuum in their identity, and they are using things like pornography, they are using things like drug to check this out. I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday, and she said to me, that praise, I was getting injected every day. She said that there's a particular drug that ordinarily, if doctors prescribe it, doctors have to prescribe it. It costs 1,500 for one. But now, because it was not prescribed, there are other people who sell it, but they sell it to people who abuse drugs. That she was taking 10 of those every day. Now she takes an entire pack. So she said to me that she was spending an average of 100,000 every day on drug purchase. That she lost everything and she began to sell whatever she could find around herself. Now, that's a typical case scenario that you find regularly. I mean, Tolani, I don't know if she's here. Tolani had a session with someone, many years ago, and the teenager was telling her all kinds of drugs that existed in Lagos, that there are some you can't not just buy without being recommended to buy it. Someone has to introduce you, and the person that sells it needs a code that you must give him for them to get you that drug. And they are doing these things to get high, right? So there is a generational divide regarding mental health. Now, let me say this carefully. What they call mental health issues right now, many of us had it. It's just that we were not diagnosed, or resilience was built into us because we were walking to school. Our school was some distance. There was no school bus. We were walking to school, so you have to cover a number of distance. Then you were a bit independent early. No mobile phones, but we left home and returned home just by walking alone. That there is something that builds into you. Your parents could shout and scream at you. You didn't feel anything mental health. You just went to take care of yourself, right? But you will realize that the activities that shaped us, activities like walking to school, activities like you do something, they'll tell you to go and cut grass, you kneel down, you stood down, you do, those things that our mothers, our specialists are punishing us with, those were the things that built you. Now, those have been withdrawn over time. So we are literally raising a generation that is very, very, very weak when it comes to their capacity to be resilient and to do something. If you failed a course, have you noticed that when teenagers fail courses right now, and you are trying to talk to them that you failed because they don't feel anything. You just feel that, what's going on? You don't even feel remorseful. It still won't stop them from playing their game. If you failed any course way back, you know how long it took you your parents will be reminding you all the time. You couldn't even go out and play, right? But they'll just pick their phones and you are saying, are you not thinking? They are not thinking really, right? So the older generation now needs to understand that times have changed and things have changed, right? And number 4 is academic and future pressure. Now, there needs to be a lot of teen coaches with specialization in academic and future pressure. So if you are here, you have a degree in guidance and counseling or something like that, or you are a career coach, you will be needed here. Now, the competition for global college admissions, scholarship, and job opportunity feel more intense than ever. Many things feel overwhelmed by the need to excel academically. So the ones who are in school, especially the African kids out here, right? They just want, to get into school, and they want to do well, but it's very tough. They have to pass SAT, it's almost as if they have no life, and they have to combine that with sports and all. The job market and global economy are rapidly changing. Even the course they want to go and study in school, before they graduate, the course may have gone into extinction. So it makes it look like the stakes are higher for this generation. Now, many of us may not know the challenges they are facing. Now, when you were growing up, everybody read around you, except for the few who were deviant, who were going to parties. Now, around them, as they are reading, Every other person is watching some series, is watching some sitcoms, is watching some videos, is watching some reel. So they feel they are missing out. So if you are reading, then you begin to wonder, why do I need to read? It's almost as if their fun is being taken away. So a lot of parents don't understand this gap. And that's why teen coaches are needed to help them understand the dynamics and the realities that we are dealing with. Number 5, communication barriers with parents. And this is a major area. Communication barrier. Okay, somebody's there watching BB Niger. So imagine everybody's watching BB Niger and they're going to discuss it at school the following day. And there's a child who is studying, who feels out of place. So she goes to school the next day. They are discussing, oh, this person kissed this person. This person has been evicted. She's clueless about it. In her mind, by so that she can belong and be among, she'll go and start watching it. And that begins to affect her academics. Number 5, communication barriers with parents. The challenge here is that teens often feel that their parents won't understand or respect their feelings, leading them to withhold information to avoid deep conversation. Many parents cannot stand the truth about their children. So, for example, a teenager comes to the mom and say, Mom, I want to tell you something that happened in the school. The mom says, what? She said, there's a girl in our school. She's a pastor's Christian girl, but she kissed a boy. Mommy, what do you think? Now, she wanted to talk to you about herself, but she's testing the waters by using a second person or a third person to know your response. What is the immediate response? Yeah, devil's child, evil child. Don't talk to that evil child, please run away. Almost immediately, she believes that, that my mom cannot handle my reality, and she stops talking to you. Now, but if you have learned to step everything down and hear more, because oftentimes, it's almost as if many of us completely forgot some of the things we struggled with when we were younger. And the fact that as a teenager, if you have a girl, for example, your girl is 15 and she's not talking to you, that there's a guy asking her out, you should be worried. You shouldn't be sharing testimonies and be saying, oh, I thank God, my child is a child of God. Nobody's even asking her out and blah, blah, blah. We'll just be looking at you, right? Because this is a reality. They will find her attractive because breast is growing and several things is coming out, right? And so you need to understand that teens are striving for independence and autonomy. They are developing their own views and values. So it's okay. Sometimes many of us have teenagers, but we think our teenagers, we process them through the prism of their childhood, right? Because they came out of us. So even now that they're teenagers, you don't expect that they argue with you. I have a teenager, 2 of them actually. They argue with me and I don't feel they disrespect me. No, they have their own views. I have my views. At the end of the day, we come together and we put the views together. I remember when my children called a family meeting, right? And then they were saying that, Mom and Dad, you had a family vision before we were born. Now we're teenagers. Can we make input in this family vision? Because some part of it look crappy. And I was like, oh, really? What we put as vision look crappy. Okay, what are your interests? And I said, meanwhile, you can't use that word crappy. Can you find another word? And they say, okay, maybe there is what we can improve on it. I said, that's better. Right. So can you? And we sat down and they came up with beautiful ideas, including, why don't we have coats of arms as a family? Why don't we Okay, design it. They design it. So we need to redesign our kitchen. We need to redesign. And by the time they were done, family vision has improved, right? But if we shut them down the way our parents shut us down, then we will not get the value or the benefit that we can derive from it. So we need parenting coaches to navigate this aspect for the teenagers and their parents. Now, if you are getting value, can you type yes? Let me know if you're getting value so far. Can you type yes? Okay, fantastic. Now I'll go to the second part of this session, which is basically 5 of the 10 irrefutable laws of handling teenagers. There are 10 laws of handling teenagers, 10 irrefutable laws. I'm going to be sharing the first 5 of them, right? And then I'll now share with you the value chain of the industry, what is needed, and how you can improve yourself and the methodology that is most tested that you can begin to use. Now, the first law in handling teenagers is called the law of identification. And this law says that you cannot engage a teenager thinking like an adult, right? You cannot engage a teenager. There is a reason God made you pass through your own teenage years, right? And so if God has made you pass through your own teenage years, it's so that you can have enough experience, right? Or enough wisdom so that you have enough bandwidth to undo whatever any teenager throws at you. So if you have a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old who says to you, you know, coach, I am masturbating, or coach, I am sleeping with a 30-year-old man, why should that make you shout, hey, 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 hey? You want to kill yourself? Oh, when you were in school, you had people who did that, right? So if you look back at what you have been through, at what the people around you have been through, nothing should shock you. And that's what this law is saying, that many a time we react wrongly, or we disdain and look down on these teenagers because we stopped being teenagers. We completely forgot the reality of the things we did as teenagers. When we were teenagers, some of you went for night vigil, and you knew that night vigil was not, it was supposed to be a vigil for prayers, but you sneaked with a boyfriend to some part back of the church, back of toilet, where you began to kiss. Okay? If you are guilty, say hi. If you are not guilty, say nay. Okay, let me see the chat box. You can see. Okay, the eyes have it. Okay, nail. Okay. But I know that some of you, you went for camp meeting, right? And you knew some of the things that happened in there. Okay, so the law of identification says you can't engage a teenager thinking like an adult. And what this says is, what is your perception? So you see camp meeting, they say yes. Camp meeting. Some of you went to camp meeting to go and meet that bobo that you are behind, or that girl that you are behind. You know these things, okay? Okay, so what is your perception of your teenagers? When a teenager came and land you alive, I will report you to Papa. Okay, what? You guys, I'm catching a lot of fun in here, right? Now, what do you see when you look at teenagers? What do you see when you look at them? Right? Law of identification says that you cannot catch the fish if you think like a human being. That you only catch a fish if you think like a fish. And what does it take to think like a fish? You have to put the fish's favorite meal on the hook. If you put your own favorite meal on the hook, you can't catch the fish. So whatever teenagers bring to you, you have to engage them in a rapport. You have to, make it, like, I understand you, I get you, I am your guy, I am your G, right? And that's why, there's a school of thought that would say to you, especially for those of you who work with teenagers in churches, don't sing all these bad songs. When you say don't sing all these bad, those are the songs they're going to go and be learning. So it pays you to know what those songs are. There's any song that is raining, that is trending. If you claim you are a teen coach and you don't know the songs that is raining, you are not a teen. In fact, you know nothing, right? Because you need to know. If you don't know the songs and you don't know their dance steps, forget it. In fact, if you don't get it, forget it. Or how do they say it? Right? You need to understand them. You need to learn their slang. That is the only way to build rapport with them. I always share the story of a family I visited, and a boy and a girl from two different families. And the boy said to the girl, "Give and it shall be given unto you." And the girl responded, "Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, and running over." If you don't get it, forget about it, or something like that. Okay, now their parents looked at themselves and they were smiling. Why were they smiling? They thought these children were honestly quoting the Bible. I knew they weren't quoting the Bible, because if they wanted to quote the Bible, why should the guy start it? Why should the girl complete it? So I excused the two of them and I said, "Guys, they say, Uncle Praise, what's up?" I said, "Okay, what's up?" I said, "I got the code you just passed right now." I said to them, and honestly, I didn't, as at the point I was talking to them, I didn't really know what they had communicated, but I knew something was off. right? So as I said, I knew the code, and you guys want me to tell your parents what you just did right now? So the guy started begging me and saying, "Uncle Praise, please, please, please. Okay, we will not do it. We will not do it." Right? Then as he said, we will not do it, it dawned on me that the guy said, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." Give, 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 give. In their world, oral sex is you give a head, you give a head, you give a head. Then I cracked it. I knew that was a conversation on oral sex. So then in my mind, I started thinking, so if the guy said, "Give and it shall be given unto you," it meant the guy was telling the girl, "I want a head from you." So why did the girl said, "Good measure, pressed down, shaking together and running over"? That must mean that the girl was saying to the guy that good measure, pressed down, shaking together and running over is, "Okay, we are not going to stop at giving a head though. Are you willing to go all the way?" That's good measure. So it's not just head. We're going to have sex. We're going to use different styles, right? And I'm going to literally finish you. Right. And so, because they knew that their parents were religious, they have put quotes in Bible verse, right? And parents did not know. So parents can even go to church and share testimony. "We want to testify to the goodness of the Lord. Our children know the Bible." In fact, yesterday, my daughter was testing herself and she said, "Give and it shall be given unto you." And her friend responded, "Good measure." They can even go to junior church and congratulate the teacher. "We thank you. Our children know memory verse." Memory verse score, memory verse me. This is what is going on. So you have to, sometimes you don't totally know because the slangs keep changing. They keep coming up with new stuff. But if you are someone who lives in their world, who understands, the code, you will know that something is just off. So let me look at this, show you this. Take a look at this picture. What do you see? Let me test you here. What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What can you see? If you have to look at this picture, let's say these people, you are observing them, what can you see? Can you type what you can see on the chat board? Let me test you. Let me test you, your team coaches. Let me test you. What do you see? Okay. A boy smoking, that's what you see, Abby. Okay. Lesbian, gay, drug abuse, deviance, fun, homosexuality, same sex, drug abuse, same sex, drug and lesbianism, professing love, teens, having fun. Okay, having fun, tattoo, same sex, tattoos, adventure. Good. All of you who mentioned drug, dealer, blah, 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 all of you need to show up in my class in September. Because you have gone from being a coach into labeling. Good. Nkechi, I love it. Teens in search of identity. A coach does not label. "Oh, he's smoking, he's tattooing." No, that's for religious leaders. There's a law called the law of neutrality. A coach has to be neutral. And a coach is looking for the root, not the symptom. Symptom is what all of you are talking about. Hey, he's tattooing, tattoo. Hey, he's smoking. He's a lesbian. Those are symptoms, right? This is an identity situation. Like I said, everything problem can be divided into two things: a non-discovery of self or a non-remembrance of self. Every time you start to label, he's fornicating, and you now have spirit of fornication to it, you are already a deliverance minister. You are no longer a coach, right? So whatever you see cannot be the symptom. And I love the people even said things having fun, because that is what this means to them. But at a deeper dive, you will know that this is beyond fun. There is something missing. They are on a self-exploratory mission. They don't yet know who they are, because if they know who they are, there are things they will not do. Everyone has the tendency to misbehave when you don't know who you are or when you forget who you are. So this boy, now, if you dig deep, you might just find out that this boy is from a good home, right? But maybe daddy left mommy. And the moment daddy left, daddy didn't look back. He began to look for himself. He began to blame himself. And once there's a vacuum created in him, He looks for something to fill that vacuum that makes him feel like himself. And what he found was smoke. So all those things like smoke, sex, what's it called, pornography, those are stopgap, right? They are the refuge city teenagers run into to their escapes. They are not real problems. When you fix the real issue, so there is nothing called smoking problem. Smoking problems stem from a fundamental issue. It's called root cause analysis. Until you discover the root cause analysis and you learn how to discover the root cause, you can never solve any problem. That's why you will not see me talk about, oh, spirit of adultery, spirit of fornication, spirit of, no. It's an escape. People are escaping into those things because they are running away from something. So all you see here are not issues at all. The real issue is these young people don't know who they are. If your job is to coach them, if you coach them to know who they are, to accept who they are, they will drop cigarettes. I work with a teenager whose parents sent her to Norway or Denmark for master's degree, no, for a degree program, right? So she left Nigeria, I think at 15, was there. By the time she came back, this girl was bisexual and this girl was smoking, not just cigarette, she was smoking weed, addicted to weed and drinking. Her mother is a Christian mother, you know, and she just went berserk. And she called me, said, praise her. You need to bail me out. I said, no, calm down. Let me engage her. By the time I engaged her, I got into rapport with her. We started talking. We started looking at issues. I did not condemn her. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't sleep around. I did not. Don't do that. No. I didn't talk about that. I was talking about her identity, speaking to her, asking her questions about identity. One day she broke down. She said to me, I'm actually suicidal. Right? I said, I know. Said, how did you know? I said, I can see from our first interaction. Said, please don't tell my mom. I said, well, if you don't want to tell your mom, then you must promise me that you will tell me full disclosure of everything that happened to you. By the time she broke down our story, right, and we started working on identity, all I was doing is work on identity, work on acceptance of herself. One day she just said to me, said, Uncle Praise, you know, the new me I see right now, every time I hold cigarette, every time I hold marijuana, I feel that it's like what's an opposite. Please, can you help me to stop this? You know, whatever. I said, okay. So we set a target. Let's set a target for 1 month. Now, don't tell them, don't go and promise like a preacher and say, all your problem will be over now. No, it doesn't work that way. Reward progress, right? So we said, okay, let's set a short-term target, 1 month without this. Okay, so what are we going to do? Every time you feel the urge to do this, call me and let me talk with you, right? So she was doing that. In that entire stretch of months, she completed 22 days without marijuana, but there was 8 days where she did marijuana. Guess what I did? I took her out. I rewarded her. We were celebrating. Now, you know that if she goes to church and says, I have a testimony. I say, what's the testimony? I want to testify to the goodness of the Lord. Before I joined this church, I used to smoke marijuana every day. But since I joined this church, you know, this month, out of 30 days, I only smoked for, the 8 days. There were 22 days in which I did. Praise the Lord. You know, you will not say hallelujah. Why? Because we always want to clap for the end result. We don't like to celebrate progress because we don't think that progress is testimony. But as a coach, you need to know that that progress is testimony. If you met a guy who says that he sleeps with 3 girls every day, now after working with him for a while, he now says that in one he has reduced, the girls to 2 girls per week. That is progress. So you can't bring your religious mind and mess up a process. Even God is a God of process, right? So as I taught you that this time around, this girl has released a book. This girl is all over Abuja, running fellowships, running programs for young people, sharing a story. She no longer drinks, she no longer smokes, she doesn't even, now she wants to get married, she's dating, right? And so I always tell people there is a way, but your heart has to be large enough as a coach. Number 2 law is the law of flexible expectation. And that says you can't impose yourself on a teenager without understanding their developmental traits. You need to stoop to conquer. You need to stand under. So in the law of flexible expectation, you need to know that teenagers are independent minded. You can't impose your will on them. Number two, they are opinionated. So don't think that they are disrespectful. No. When you were a teenager, you were almost a rebel. You also didn't like it when people ordered you around. So you need to recognize this and not be, angry at some of their excesses. Now, they would explore. You need to know that teenagers love to explore. They love to push the boundaries. Allow them to push the boundaries, but you insist on the boundaries and engage them. They will make mistakes, and don't let their mistakes define them. Then collective control. They don't want you to tell them what to do. They need both of you to agree on what you are going to embrace. It's called collective control. That you want control, let us do it together. Then secrecy and codes. You need to know this as a coach, that they have secrecy, they have codes, and you must be able to engage them at that level and step into their world. Let me announce here, if teenagers don't initiate you into their world, they will sell you. You will sign your own invoice and your receipt by yourself, and you wouldn't even know that you have been sold. So you need to, all this your graph, I am older than you, drop it, right? What did I say? Can you go to the chat box and tell someone, drop it, drop it, drop it, man. You need to get into their world, right? And know that they have a lot more to teach you than what you have to teach them. Your job is to balance their perspective, but if you can hold teenagers emotionally accountable, you have gotten them. Number three is the law of creativity. And this one says you can't get the attention for long if you are not creative enough, because they get bored with anything that doesn't involve fun. That is why, as a teen coach, you must learn gamification. You must learn their games. Because sometimes the period, if you don't learn their games, I watched a series, I think, is it Black Mirror? When I finished watching Black Mirror, I understood some of the things the teenagers were exhibiting. Because in Black Mirror, they were playing games with friends in metaverse. And so a male boy is playing a game with a male boy, another male boy. And in the metaverse, they are represented by avatars. But the avatar for both of them is male. But as they play is usually fight. They are fighting and fighting and fighting. One day, the avatar, one of them, started started liking the other guy, and one day started kissing avatars. Now, what was that doing? Subliminally reconditioning their brain, because they have the headset and the virtual reality kits on. So it continuously, subliminally reconditions the brain of a guy who doesn't have any inclination to same sex or whatever. And before you knew it, in real life, he began to gravitate in the direction of something he detested. So because their mind is a bit flexible, they can be influenced through a lot of things. That's why you need to be comfortable with their game. All of us use ChatGPT. Do you know how old the ChatGPT guy was when he started developing? He was a teenager when he started developing it. And as at the age of 16, the boy has come out to say that he was LGBT. Right? So you can't get the attention for long if they're not creative enough, because they get bored with anything that doesn't involve fun. If you check their game, the game Black Mirror, that's the name of it's a lot of series. So you need to find this particular one in there. Right? So creativity, you don't just go. For example, if you are teaching teenagers in the junior church, you don't carry your big Bible and go and be, displaying the Zechariah, Nehemiah. There are even books in the Bible they don't like to read. So you need, thank you, Joy, sixth season. You need to move beyond your big Bible and now make the Bible interactive by creating slides, right? If you create interactive slides because they're visual oriented, add it to a lot of short videos and make them, you need to know what they know before you teach them anything. In fact, on a Sunday, if you create a controversial topic and hear what they have to say about it, you don't need to preach, because you just need to balance their perspectives, right? But a lot of people don't know this. So sometimes I laugh when I see what teen churches are doing. I just laugh. You realize that the best part for the teenagers oftentimes is when they are dancing. Once they finish dancing, the rest is just like they are just observing, waiting for you to share the grace for them to go. Number 4, the law of visualization. This says that a teen learns faster from what he sees than what you say. So leave the talk, create a room for expression and engagement, and the child will live the life. And this one, you have to bypass their conscious resistance. If you see something that's wrong, if you go direct at them, they will resist you. But if you allow it slide and have conversations around it to know why they are doing what they are doing and how they are doing it. See, a normal person is asking, what is the teenager doing? A coach is asking, why is he doing it? And how is he doing it? Why takes you to root cause. How shows you the pattern. Once you can understand the pattern, you can actually change a behavior, because you can now create an intervention on how to change the behavior. I mean, this process I just explained, I can't teach you here. But it's if you master that, you will be an intentional and an impactful teens coach. Number 5, the law of trust. And this says that a teenager will pretend and lie if he doesn't trust you enough to handle his mistakes. So you need to earn his trust and build intimacy lest they start pretending. We once hired a teenager who came to my office and said to me, Mr. Praise, I know that confidentiality is the first rule in coaching. I just want to say this to you. You know, I'm a Gen Z. I am pregnant and I'm going for abortion. No, he said, I was pregnant. I have gone for abortion and I didn't tell my mom. I am back. I am okay. I just feel like I need to tell you, but you cannot tell my mom. Right? And so if the teenager was like 16, 17, she was 18, right? I would have found a way to say, okay, maybe we need to tell you. But by the time she explained a lot of things, her mother couldn't handle it. So I had to handle those things myself and now walked out through the process. Today, she bakes and she runs a pastry business in Lagos. She's out of university right now. She's doing it so well. So every time she says to me, she said, Mr. Praise, you know, and she started calling her friends. Come and talk to my coach. Come and talk to my, come and talk to my, and I was able to help quite a number of them. So the law of trust, of course, there are times when the client is in danger, you might need to breach confidentiality. But you need to explain it to the client that is to save your life. That's why we need to do this, or else you'll be an accomplice to the crime. But it's not everything. I mean, I know a church where the teenagers told me, they said, please, we can't confide in our teachers because every time we tell them stuff, they go and tell our parents. In fact, one of my associates went for a camp meeting last week, a Christian camp meeting, asked the teenagers to write out their deepest secret. Some of the biggest cases in that meeting had to do with incest, right? Siblings having sex with themselves. And they never told anyone. But because she was not someone that regularly works with them, they were able to tell her. And now we're creating intervention and planning intervention. So the law of trust. Question is, can teenagers trust you? It's a yes or no answer. Can you answer the question? Can teenagers trust you? Because some of you, when they tell you things, the next thing is you have created a sermon out of it. You have come. I mean, the first guy who was LGBT I work with in Nigeria told me that he went to confide in his pastor that he was struggling with gay. And by midweek service, that was the topic, and they excommunicated him. Who does that? Confidentiality. People are dying because they don't have people they can confide in. So confidentiality, in fact, you can be sued if you divulge information you're not supposed to divulge. So we need to be, because people are looking for who to talk to. They are looking for who they can trust. There are people messing up, struggling, suicidal, looking for someone who they can tell, this is what I'm going through, and who they are sure their secrets are going to be safe with. So how many of you still want to become an exceptional teen coach? Can you say hi? Let me see. We're going to round up shortly and I'll take a few questions, right? How many of you still want hi? Okay. So for today, right, I'll say to you that team coaching is a global need for the following reasons. And you need to know that you are going to be one of the most highly sought after skills in our world, because a lot, even schools don't understand Generation Z and Alpha anymore. Teachers are struggling. Parents are struggling. Government is struggling. Have you even realized that to hire them as a staff is a problem? Because they can't stay. You hire a teenager as your front desk officer on internship. She can't stay there, right? Customers are coming. She's on her phone. She's on a call. She's on social media. She's posting. They're multitasking at, so Generation Z and Generation Alpha are the generation that fall into the category of teenagers right now. And you must know how to engage. Why you need to engage is a global need. And why they need you is because, one, there's a rising mental health concern across the globe. Rates of anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues among teenagers have been increasing over the years. I mean, when we were growing up, did you hear a teenager who had depression when you were growing up? Because we had enough field to play. But right now, teenagers are depression, teenagers are suicidal. In fact, teenagers are killing themselves. There is a club in Lagos where teenagers go now, right? And they blow, there's a balloon they give them to blow. But that balloon is spiked with drugs that once you take it, you just totally lose yourself. Now, a dedicated strategy. So your job as a coach is to provide support, is to provide coaching strategy. Now, a lot of us know the support part. We don't know strategy. And that's why you need to learn how to provide strategy, how to provide intervention for the teenagers, coping strategies and tools to manage these challenges. The tools are called teleplay, right? So it's a combination of therapy and play, right? So coping strategy tools to manage these challenges, acting as a bridge between formal therapy and self-help. Formal therapy is good, right? And that's where the psychologists and the psychiatrists stand. But even they are challenged right now. And how many psychiatrists do we have in Africa, right? Minimal. They can't even service the numbers of cases we're having. So you serve as the bridge between the formal therapy and the self-help because you have mastered how to provide support. You've mastered how to create intervention. Intervention management is a different ballgame mentality that you need to master, and you are teaching tools on how to manage these challenges. Number two, acceleration of technology and societal changes. With the pace of technological advancement, it means that today's youth are navigating a world vastly different from the previous generation. The world they are living in is different from, so if you realize, in Nigeria, for example, you must have noticed that during the last election, majority of the Generation Z, the Soros and the millennials, the Sorosokes, they were against the older generation. It's almost as if when you say something that doesn't align with them, what you will get is insult. Right. Thank you very much, Kindle, that you have prevented over 23 suicides. Right. So a team coach can help balance the digital world with the real world, understanding digital ethics. So there are digital ethics and cope with unique tech-related stressors. Now, let me give an example. Unknown to many of you, if you are functioning in 10 WhatsApp groups at the same time, that's a major stressor, but it's killing you softly without knowing. So your brain is processing 10 conversations at the same time. What is happening is this. You are blending in the same blender. So your brain is a blender. But imagine a blender where you have put beans. You want to make akara. But you have also put banana because you want to make smoothies. So a discussion is beans. Another discussion is banana. Another discussion is ugu because you want to blend ugu and drink. Another discussion is, what else do you blend again? Is melon. You blend melon. Now, you imagine 10 different things being blended together. What are you likely going to have if you taste it? That is what is happening. So sometimes you realize that you sleep and you wake up, you are still tired because you are in your sleep. Your brain is still in those WhatsApp groups and is still having conversation. And that's why a lot of people are having meltdown, breakdown, because they are no longer in touch with their emotions. So a team coach needs to help them create that balance in the digital world. So now imagine a child. Imagine a child who is supposed to spend 10 minutes to understand a subject or a topic. But as he's in that topic, his phone is with him. He's in another meeting. He's listening to music. So he's trying to handle so many things at the same time, right? How does it cope? So it's your job to help the child and their parent create strategy that can help them create a balance that supports the best interest of the child. Number 3, globalization and cultural integration. The world is more connected than ever. Teens interact with peers from diverse backgrounds. So your child is a Nigerian child, but if you check his accent is America. If you check his mind is Japanese, right? Depending on the movies he is watching, right? And so you realize that your culture is no longer your culture. As a matter of fact, Africa is mostly endangered. Why? Because Africans no longer teach their children their mother tongue. Your children are learning English as a first language, and they don't speak your mother tongue. When they have children, they're going to teach their children English, which means your mother tongue is dead. The moment your mother tongue is dead, your identity is as good as dead. So coaches can aid teens in developing cultural awareness, embracing diversity, and establishing their own identity amidst global influence. If there is a critical need outside in the diaspora here, is the need for African kids to embrace their Africanness, because many of them don't feel totally at home in the diaspora here because it's owned by the whites. They know they are not white, right? Their color skin says, but they don't also know their history and their heritage, right? And that's why if you have been in some of our webinars, we have an entire 1-year program for parents on how to help their children master cultural integration and whatever. But this is part of the work you're supposed to do, to help them aid, develop cultural awareness, embracing diversity. Yes, we are all different, but it doesn't mean that you're superior to me. I embrace myself. I'm African. I love me, and I love being me. Next, increased academics and career pressure. We talked about that. Coaches need to provide guidance, stress management techniques. So teenagers are stressed. He has an exam. My son has an exam, and he was afraid that he wasn't going to pass the exam. I had to sit with him and take him through visualization. He visualized the exam, visualized the subject, visualized the result, and I now gave him affirmation, help him develop affirmation, which he read to himself 3 times daily. And by the time he went for the exam, everyone was shocked at his result, right? So you need to provide guidance, stress management techniques, and help teens discover their passion and strength in highly developed area, right? You see, parents are willing to pay anything for this session if you know how to charge. Now, charges is another ballgame entirely because many of you don't know how to charge. You just charge arbitrarily. Now, you need to learn to charge using bouquet model. Bouquet model is such that I am going to engage your child for 3 months, right? This is what I charge for 3 months. And I must say this, clients don't mind paying anything. They only want ease of payment, right? So if you can make payments easy for them, they will jump at whatever offers you are giving. And the last one is the need for resilience and adaptability. Given the uncertainty of the future, be climate change, there's political shift, technological destruction, things need to be resilient and adaptable. So a coach is needed to help them develop their critical life skills, ensuring they are prepared to navigate unforeseen challenges and capitalize on opportunity. In fact, much more than ever, the teenager that is living Nigeria mostly with their parents are the Generation Z. They are coming to a different world. Many of them are going to end up in prison. In fact, one of the core areas of team coaching right now is preparing the teenagers for life in the diaspora, right? Life in the diaspora, because it's a whole lot. So you need to study it and create sessions, coaching sessions where you help families navigate how to move outside, what to expect, and how to build systems. Now, so what is coaching basically? International Coaching Federation defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspire them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The process unlocks previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. That's what coaching is all about. Your job is to help the teenager unlock the untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership within them. Now, you need to understand that when it comes to coaching the teenagers, There are 4 stages that you must master if you are going to be successful in this field. One is called the acronym CARE. You must be able to create rapport, which means develop relationship. I've spoken at length about that already. You must be able to develop relationship with the teenager. Number 2, you must be comfortable to use assessment, because you cannot be guessing. Your accurate diagnosis is the most important part of teen coaching. And if you can't diagnose accurately, you may damage the teenager. So you must be able to administer assessment. Now, I can't teach you that here because we have a class in September that will run for about 13 weeks where you can learn how to use psychometric tools, how to accurately diagnose a child. Because if you can diagnose and you can write reports, then you can create intervention. Then when you have accurately done, and this is usually the missing link in many of our teen coaches, they don't have the right tools to accurately diagnose. So they guess. And guessing is as deadly as misleading a child, right? And number 3, you review reports and establish a mutually agreed upon goals and objectives. That is called intervention management. So yes, you now know what is wrong with the child. Your job is to now create intervention. We call it tactical formation. You help the child create intervention. You create a bridge between where the problem is and the solution, and you know the timeline. And then you now engage the child maybe in weekly coaching or twice a week, depending on what you are dealing with. So you review the report, establish a mutually agreed upon goals. It must be between you and the child. The ground rules must be there. The parents must be involved, and the child must do all the child needs to do. Then you establish and develop an implementation plan. The rest is review. If you understand the CARE model, you will be highly effective and you'll be able to help teams navigate so much and so many problems that they need to handle. Now, the best model that exists is this model. Any coaching program, right? I've just been reminded that, sorry, it's 6 weeks. It's a 6-week coaching program that we do, right? Your coaching methodology must have presumption of adolescence. You must master that. You must understand the adolescent brain. There's an entire session that opens up the brain of the adolescent, because what goes on in the brain of the adolescent is different from what goes on in the brain of the adult. If you understand the brain of the adolescent, then it becomes very easy to help. 2 presuppositions of active adolescence. So there are some presuppositions coaches have, which will make you not to become very effective. You need to understand them. Then you need to be able to master the coaching adolescent methodology, understanding personality shift and pruning. That is where you use psychometry to know that this is the teenager I'm dealing with. Is it an intimidating teen? Is it a creative teen? Is it a dependable teen? Is it a systematic teen? You need to know those dynamics. Then coaching adolescents through self-concept and discovery. Those are areas of specialization. Then engaging the teen, building rapport and interviewing styles. You need to know how to interview, how to get information out of the teenager. Then understanding trauma map, mastering meanings, and therapy, right? So therapy is a combination of therapy and play. So, but this time around is play therapy, because you can't use the conventional therapy for teenagers. They will get bored. So there's a balloon therapy, for example, that helps them manage anger. There's a countdown therapy that can also be used to manage anger. There is a whole lot. There's the tree of life that can help you know the secrets they will never tell anybody. You need to be able to do this. There's a triangle of life, which is a strategy triangle that you can use to create intervention management. They need to understand mental health disorders, the anxiety, depression, opposition, and defiance disorder. You need to understand all these things, how you observe it, how you interpret it, and how you create intervention. Persistent coaching and neuroscience of novelty seeking. That's pretty new. You need to understand this, the coaching models and techniques. If you want to go global, if you want to be very effective, all this you need to master. There's no two way about it. And you know that you cannot be experimenting with your client. And that's why at the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, I mean, if you know our program, been through our program, you know that we run the most effective family life certification program in Africa, in West Africa at the moment. But now we hear that it doesn't even exist in Africa, because we're having a lot of students from different countries, about 10 countries already, taking the certification program. We do our team certification program once in a year. And the one for this year starts in September. So if you are here, you think that you need help, you need to master the tools. Let me tell you, the difference between tools and native intelligence is that with tools, you are more powerful. Your result is faster. And then you are able to work with premium clients as against just anybody. So the coaching program certification is a 6-week program, which starts first week in September, right? It's originally a 400,000 class. That's what we charge, right? But you can have it at 255. In fact, you are not just saving 50,000. You are saving much more right now, right? And so you can activate this offer between now and Wednesday at 85K. If you pay 85K, you would have activated this offer, then you can spread the rest of your payment. But class starts September 6th, thereabout. It's going to run for 6 weeks. I'm going to be in class. Coach Dimas, several of the coaches, we're going to be working with you with all the tools, with all the methodology. If you are in this class, the offer is 255K, right? But you need to do your first installment of 85K by Wednesday. Guys, the endless opportunities I can't even talk about them. These days, let me be honest with you. When parents call me, praise, we have a teenager, I don't handle them. I send them to my other teen coaches because my hands are full. How much can I do as a person? Sometimes they will say, praise, we'll pay anything. I just say to them, I have better hands who can do this right now. So you'll be saving a whole lot if you jump on this. It only runs once a year. And the one for this year starts September 6th and it runs for 6 weeks. And we're going to handle you post-class and help you do your practical field work, and you'll become highly effective. Let me tell you, from the data available up to 2021, here in America, Black youths are more likely to be detained or committed than other youths. In many states, Black youths have significant higher representation in juvenile justice system than in general youth population. It means that an average Black youth is prone to going to jail, right, if care is not taken. These disparities are sometimes stuck in some states. The ratio of Black to white youth in detention is 5-1 or even higher. Systematic issues such as school to prison pipeline disproportionately impact Black students, leading to higher rates of suspension, expulsion, subsequent involvement with the juvenile justice system. So we need to save an entire generation because our kids cannot be going to jail over what they don't even understand. What they will get away with in Africa, they don't get away with it here. And it's because we don't have enough coaches preparing them for that. The teen coach is a pipeline between the parents and the teen's ability to effectively navigate the teen's successful years. So as a teen coach, you are needed in all the school system because the school system don't even understand how to deal with the children they have right now. You are needed by government agencies. You are needed by religious organizations, teen churches, all of them need you. Islamic teens, all of them need you. Parents need you. In fact, I went to speak somewhere yesterday, and as I walked out, a parent walked up to me, said to me, praise, I don't know how to handle my teenagers anymore. Can you help? So teen coaches are needed, right? Everywhere. Wherever teens are found is where the teen coach is needed. And it's a highly specialized skill. But if you know what you're doing, you can psychoanalyze cases using psychometry tools. You can arrive at results and create intervention. Trust me, much more people will run after you. So you need to sign up today and become a highly paid coach or strategist from the month of September. So like I said, the offer is available to 55,000 instead of 400,000 thereabout. And then you can activate your offer with 85,000. But let me ask you, how many of you would like to join us in September? How many of you would like to join us in September? I think they can drop the link. If you'd like to join us, say hi, 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 hi. I. Fantastic. I look forward to seeing all of you. I look forward to grooming you guys to be highly effective. So they will drop the link. You can click on the link and sign up almost immediately. Class opens September 6th. I look forward to welcoming you. Oh, somebody saying more discount. Let me tell you, go and check. Any teen certification program in the world is $1,000 minimum you will find. So whatever, in fact, I had to tell them, guys, you cannot charge 400,000 for this class. We know the way Nigeria is. So I had to reduce it for them at the institute till they arrive at 255,000, right? Go and check anywhere. What you get in 6 weeks, you will not get it anywhere else for that amount. So it's already been highly discounted. If you pay your 85,000, then we can work with you on installments and make it easy for you to spread your other payment. I think we can do that. We are men of integrity here. If you can assure us that you finish paying off, we will do it for you. And trust me, I'm not that person who likes to say, oh, bring collateral. If your word cannot be your collateral, then you are not even fit to be a coach. We need to be able to trust your word. You get certified as a teen coach from the Institute of Family Engineering and Development, which is registered with the Ministry of Education in Lagos State, right? That certification you get, and you become very effective. You have people who mentor you and things like that. So I look forward to seeing you in September class. On this note, I said thank you. Maybe I can have 1 or 2 questions, but have you learned something at all? If you have learned something in this class, can you type yes, 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 and tell me what you have learned. Tell me what you have learned. I look forward to seeing you. So go and sign up today. Take advantage of this, because by the next time we're going to do it, trust me, the price will never be as low as that. On this note, I hand over back to Coach Sandra. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I love you. We can save our youth with more accuracy, with more systems, with more intelligence, and with more systems intervention. I look forward to seeing you September 6th. So don't miss it for anything. Go sign up now and activate your fee. Over to you, Coach Sandra. I think I'm done.
Wow. Thank you so much, PF. Amazing as usual. I mean, this is so much to unpack. And I have so many witnesses right here in this session. This has been so good. So much information, and not just any information, but relevant, cutting-edge solution that we need to make a difference in the lives of teenagers. I mean, we all know how much needed teen coaches are, especially after this session. So I saw somebody asking if you could do 50K. Well, the Institute is very flexible, you know, when it comes to your installmental payment, but 85K to lock in your spot is a very good deal. Honestly, if you have ever been in any of the trainings of Mr. Praise for Aware, or if you've taken any of his certification programs, you would understand the kind of value you're about to get. So please, if you know that you really want to function in this space, you know that you want to be a sought-after teen coach, you want to have tools that you can use. Here, there's no guessing. You're not labeling. You're not projecting your own, knowledge or your own assumptions on the people you are going to be working with. Then you need to be in this program, because you are going to have access to tools, relevant tools. You're going to be able to diagnose cases up to 90% accuracy, even more than that. I mean, so if you want to function in this space, please lock in your spot with 85K. Trust me, 255K is such a good deal. This has been so expository, so insightful. It's been an amazing time, as usual, with Praise for Aware. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Please, if you have questions, you can drop your questions in the chat so that he can quickly take them before he leaves. Please drop your chats. Yes, the timing. Okay, so all of that information will be shared in the group. All of that information about the timing, how the program is going to run, is going to be shared in the group, and it is virtual, so you can actually join from anywhere in the world. Yes, I can beat my chest and say you need to go and get that money and sign up for that training. Okay, we have the account details there. We have the link. Just locking your spot. Is the certification globally recognized? It is. It is. Please, can we get the slides or the recording for this training? You will get the recording. you will get the recording. So the link is up there. Please secure your spot using this link. More questions, please. You have questions for PF before he leaves so that we can shut down this session. When is the next class after this one? Why wait till the next class? September, this one will extend till December, right? Or before another one is going to come up, I think it's going to be around September. September as well. So please, there's no need to wait. There are so many teenagers waiting for you out there. The government needs you. The schools need you. The churches need you. Parents need you. Please, we need more hands in this niche. We need more hands in this area. Please, come on, lock in your spots. Don't wait till September. Don't worry. We have installmental payments and flexible plans for you. Just lock in your spot with 85,000. Okay, so let's see if we have questions. I have learned not to ignore simple signs. Yes. Okay, I learned not to condemn or be neutral with them to get their attention. I must be creative. Yes, thank you. After September, okay, I think I have answered that. I really wish I can afford this training. Don't worry. Even if you can't afford it now, just keep it in mind. But if there's a way you can just get in, it will be awesome. Okay, so somebody says, when is the deadline to lock up my spot? I think it's still 16th. I think that's Friday. You have till Friday to pay 85,000. You have till Friday. If you enjoyed the session, if you got value, please fire up the chat section. Fire it up. Don't let, whether you're locking in your spot or not, don't let that deprive you from saluting PF for the value that he has brought to the table once again tonight. Please let us show our gratitude. Let us appreciate him, for his time. PF gives so much. He gives so much to humanity. We actually need more people like this. Please let us fire up the chat section with our emojis if you know you got value. I can't see the emojis. Oh.
Sorry, Sandra. Someone is asking, are there teenagers who never change? Yes.
Okay.
You find those cases, even though they are rare, depending on the skills you are deploying, right? And the cooperation of the parents. Oftentimes, when you say that teenagers don't change, it's because the parents have done a bad job and they are unwilling to align with everything you're saying. Right? I know a case where I told the parent, for the next 1 month, don't condemn this guy. I mean, he was already 19. Of course, that's past the teenage years. He was already 19. Don't condemn, but the mother couldn't. Because in coaching ethics, I will not work with your child if you are also working with other coaches. And that's usually where the problem is. So a child is troubled. They've asked you to help, but they're also listening to prophet. So you are telling them do this. Then the prophet says you need to take the child for bathing inside the pool. So they carry the child to go and pool, to the prophet. They tie the child and begin to flog the child. So everything you have done, they undo it. So usually in those cases, I pull away. Right? And so you realize that in cases where things don't work out, it's like medication. You've been given a prescription, right? You've been given what you must take per time. If you don't take it as at the time, then death is imminent. And I've seen that sadly happen, right? And let me say to you, don't shoot for 100% because not every doctor saves every client. As a matter of fact, global standard is 20%. If you have 20% clients change, that's Pareto principle, you've done a good job. But we will tell you that we do way above that. We do over 60%. That people are surprised at what we do. But you have those cases where people, and you can't really help it because you can't go and bundle people and force them into stock. So that's why some of those cases never happen. And there's no teenager that is Eddie, please. Teenagers don't produce themselves. What you call Eddie, a teenager that is Eddie, is the bad job that was done in scripting the child from childhood. That's where it came from, right? So the child is responding and reacting to something, right? And so that's that. Then I saw someone who is saying, are we going to teach you how to charge? Yes, we're going to teach you how to charge. The model called the bouquet model, we're going to teach you how to charge, right? And so basically, I think those are the significant questions. So someone asked, is it possible for a teenager to be a teen coach? What the teenagers do is first aider response. They can be first aid respondent, right? Because they are also equally still growing, so somehow we have the older teens who can help the younger teen, but there are things they can't handle. So it's like saying, can a 17-year-old become a medical doctor or a medical consultant or something like that? Even though they can pass the exam, there are still things that, because emotionally they need to grow as well. So I think that someone is saying, please share the payment plan again. 85,000 to lock down your space of 255,000 before Friday next week. Then you can spread the remaining payment. You can talk to the institute. If you have any challenge and you need to speak with someone, please chat that number up and let them see, maybe whatever can be done to help you. But that's the price. It's not going to go lower than that. Thank you very much for all your time and the time shared together. I love you. I'll see you in September.